Seekordse Kultuuritehase saate teemaks on 2 Tallinnas novembris toimunud festivali, mis on keskendunud vastavalt muusika- ja helikunstile ning tegevuskunstidele. Nimelt Servataguse Muusika Kultuurikatlas ning NU Performance Festivalil Viru hotellis ja praegu oleme Kultuurikatlas Servataguse Muusika Festivalil. Ma räägin juttu Servataguse muusika peakorraldaja Eestis elava ning tegutseva austraallasest muusikapromootori Elijah Värtaga. So Elijah, you have been working as a music promoter here in Estonia for years now.
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
You were running your own space in Old Town called East.
Yes.
And you have been organizing Servataguse Muusika events for some time.
Since July the 11th, 2009. Yep, and there's been 32 shows, and this being the second festival of a bigger scale. Yeah.
And how would you describe Servataguse Muusika Festival?
Basically, the whole concept is that it's giving a platform to music which won't get a platform otherwise. It's basically making sure that performers who really go off the middle, who go to different extremes, or who just simply tinker away from what would be a normal pop culture form of music, to make sure that they've got something to perform, and the focus being that it's for performers from Estonia and the direct region, that being the neighbouring countries, principally being Latvia, Finland, Russia, and also, if possible, anyone else who happens to be passing through. So with that in mind, there has been performers from further afield after we've been keeping this going, and we've had people from France, we've had people from USA, from Australia even once, which was that show we did in Polymer all those years ago. Yeah, smashing glass on his head.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically all the performances, you couldn't really say that any two are alike. They're all quite highly individualistic. Not to say that it's selfish, but it's just that they've got their own way of doing things, and they're not trying to be a straight-out rock band, not trying to be a straight-out reggae band or whatever. They're doing some kind of experimentation, and that can be anything. It's basically taking things to many different methods and means.
Sometimes it feels to me that some of the performers you invite here or more of performance art as sound art or music? If you think of yesterday's performer, Massive Ejaculation.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, he's not. I wouldn't say he's a. I don't think he'd describe himself as an artist as such, but he definitely is that. I don't think he's the classic artist who's hanging out with people from art school. I don't even know if he went to art school. He probably didn't. But what he does is it's a very highly focused art form, and that art form being shitcore.
And on the other hand, you have performers who seem to be totally focused on creating different sound effects. Sometimes they are even really painful for the ears of the audience.
Yeah,
like yesterday's whistling microphones.
Oh, yeah, there was a LR. It was a glorious, industrial, authentic... to me, it sounded like the voice of hatred or something like that. He was basing it upon some writings by a German Jewish man living in World War II times, some poetry that he wrote. He was referencing the writings of this man, and he was making them into this kind of like highly abrasive, high-pitched frequency feedback and distortion, and he was screaming the fuck out of the microphone, wasn't he? And it really hurt at the end, but to me that performance really stood out. It was...
Yeah, about half of the audience left right in the beginning.
Yeah, like it's possible that like a lot of those people will see that, walk away, but they might see something of a similar nature a few times more and then really appreciate it because they kind of start getting it.
You have definitely taken some space in Estonian alternative music scene. And how does this music scene appear from a foreigner, outstander, basically?
There's not really a scene because the population is quite small. If there's Estonian performers that are doing something quite different, they're doing it like a loose cannon in themselves. They're like doing it without like any community around them. Like they're doing it in pure isolation. And I think that's really just because of population. You know, if you go to a bigger city, then you get more like-minded people, like kind of building their own little cluster together. And in Tallinn, you don't really have that. So the people that do it, they do it regardless of whether they have all this support structure around them or like a list of friends that are thinking in a similar way. They just think in their own way, and they just do it regardless of any support around them.
And still, your events seem to be surprisingly popular here in Tallinn.
I wouldn't say that, but this festival certainly has worked.
And you think of continuing enriching Estonian music scene with your events, bringing those obscure artists here? Yeah,
I mean, I think that this festival's worked because it hasn't just been Estonians that have come. There have been people that have travelled for it, and that's what I try to do in advance. Like people have travelled from Stockholm and from Poland and from Vilnius and from Riga and from Helsinki. The only way that it can really work as a festival is if I do make it more a regional thing.
my mental story, just can be similar to another person. It was a really special gig because I lost my mask, just someone stolen it from...
Somebody stole your mask?
Yeah, from the hostel. I think it was just maybe guard security. It looked fantastic. It was with blood strips and some kind of part of chains, like BDSM, like this way. Someone stole it.
So you had to replace it somehow quickly?
I just, just my normal costume because 10 years ago I was in a wrestling team, wrestling. Not a professional, but a student kind of. And this was the outfit I used to wear.
And what was your wrestling persona called?
Just monopolka. It was just
Monopolka?
Monopolka, yeah. Just full monopolka. Now it's Massive Ejaculation, just a band, the imaginary band, the fake band, just pretend to be a proper rock band behind me when I'm singing, just like.
So what kind of audience you usually have? Do you have many invitations for this kind of alternative electronic music events, sound art events?
It looks similar to a basic situation when I'm performing, but tonight it was really a lots of people, mostly I'm performing with kind of 3 persons as the audience and something like that.
In clubs?
In clubs and workshops and in the UK, which is the best ever the best ever place to perform, there are pubs. This place is really wide and I don't feel comfortable in the wide spaces.
Do you tour a lot with?
Yeah, but now I've got a kid born. My daughter is 3 years old, and I've just reduced. I don't play a lot, just maybe a couple of gigs in a month. It's enough. When I was like 20 years old, I was just playing we got a big, much bigger tours for a couple of months.
With similar acts?
Yeah, no, with harsh noise, experimental noise stuff, more boring, more into rock and roll stuff.
So you have a music background as long with the wrestling background?
Probably the wrestling background is much more important for me than music. I never listening to music. I listen to radio, but spoken word stuff, not music. Music really makes me stressful and stuff, I just love when people performing. I really enjoy noticing their attitude, the outfit, or just the way of the behavior on stage. But I'm not totally into the music.
Me oleme Viru hotelli ees, kus toimub seekordne järjekorras 4. NU Performance Festival. Festivali alapealkiri on külalislahkusest ning selle kuraatorid on seekord Saksamaalt Silke Paake ning Peeter Staamer.
Tere! Onko teillä kissa?
Ei ole, se on tuolla katolla.
On ääni niinku. No.
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 Is my name Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yes.
You and Silke have organized and curated quite few performance art festivals and theater festivals. Is this the first experiment with space? This festival takes place in a hotel.
I think in Silke, as well as in my practice, we are interested in anyway space as an environment. So also in the festivals we didn't do it together. For both of us it was important to think of the space as something that is an intrinsic part of the performances anyway. But it's true that this hotel festival is the first one actually for us to do.
And what made you choose Estonia for this kind of experiment, NU Performance Festival particularly?
I think Estonia chose us at that time. Anders Herm and Brie Raut approached us. They wanted us to curate this very festival, especially in the framework of Tallinn 2011. And we were here a couple of times in order to see what this city holds for us. And when we were here then last year, we, by coincidence, were put up in this very hotel because the Viru hotel was at that time the partner hotel of Kanuti Gildisal. That was exactly around the time when they opened the KGB museum. So we made the tour with the KGB museum, and we understood more and more how this hotel has an important role, let's say, in the last 40 years within the social life of Tallinn. So we approached them and said we would like to do a festival exclusively in the hotel. And at first they looked at us and kind of asked back if we were really kind of serious. And then they said yes after we explained to them what we are interested in, after we had said that hospitality is our topic. And as well after we have explained that the hotel is not just a fancy backdrop for a curious idea, but rather an important environment that enables us to think of hospitality in different ways, at least. And it was also clear for us when we spoke to them that this is an experiment in such a way that we cannot, of course, rehearse. So every night is a first night, is a premiere. And nevertheless they said yes to that, and we are quite happy that we're here.
How the fact that the festival takes place in Viru Hotel influenced choosing the performances, the artworks for NU Performance Festival this time?
We were not interested in buying performances we knew more or less. We were not interested so much in adapting performances so much to the hotel environment. We were rather interested in addressing people, approaching them with our needs. So we said the same, actually, we had the same questions for them than we had for ourselves. What is hospitality? What are gestures of hospitality? Is hospitality an important issue in your practice as an artist? How would you conceive of the relation between the audience and the artistic work on stage? And out of these questions, we most of the times develop together a concept for what's going on here. So, for example, tonight we will have a dinner performance by an Austrian performance group, and of course we knew that they're interested in these kinds of long-term dinners and durational work, but what they do tonight is a one-off. So there was a concept of dealing with 5 hours in a row, and Yossi Vanunu, who is an Israeli director placed and living in Vienna, is right now opening his show, and he is developing it through, let's say, lifelines from the birth until death. And he's telling stories that have a lot to do with his own Israeli background. So from birth, circumcision, bar mitzvah, wedding, and all these festivities.
It's basically, the idea is that this organ of us, men, is a very lowly organ, a very dirty organ, and by cutting it, it becomes holy. So the reason it is done to you is in order for you not to enjoy sex, because you are not supposed to. Basically, what happened is that there's a godfather, And the godfather is, the child is being put on the, can you hold it like this? Yes. Sure. The child is being put on the pillow. The godfather is supposed to open the legs of the child and first hold a piece of skin that is left. And in the old days, they used to hit it with a hammer first to make it flat. And then he will take a knife, which is like kind of a surgical knife, and cut it very fast. And excuse me, can I have red wine? It's very simple. Since the child is bleeding, since the child is bleeding, you need to do it. So what basically Mohel does, he goes down your penis and he sucks the blood a couple of times. So basically, in my first party, I was 8 days old, I already got a blowjob. And the way he does it is very, thank you. The way he does it is very simple. He takes a bit of wine, and spit it. Now, I imagine that this probably burned really hard. A lot of infants got herpes or tuberculosis. So there were cases in Poland in the 18th century where kids that were treated by a certain Mohel, by a certain person, got a severe case of tuberculosis and some of them died. In New York.
And the same with by the messes that play tonight as well. We know the practice is what they do, but we try to kind of develop the events together. And this is why we most of the times call these events situations. Yeah.
Arbeit ist ein heißes Eisen, das so manche Schädeldecke schon geschlagen hat. Wer arbeiten will, ist was wert, und wer was wert ist, ist Mensch, und der Mensch ist Natur. Wer arbeiten will, ist was wert, und wer was wert ist, ist Mensch, und wer ein Mensch ist Natur.
I would rather say, nevertheless, that the differentiation between theatre and visual arts is in a way blurred.
Hello.
So for me, it's really, if you want to go to the toilet, I ask you if you want to take a picture.
I want to take a picture.
Okay. So you sit in the seat. If you can, please take off your glasses.
Okay.
And put your head a little bit higher, just very little bit. And I do something with your picture when you're on the toilet.
Thank you. Et sa oled festivali vabatahtlik, kas sa oled ise kunstitudeng või teatri või kaasaks tantsutudeng?
Rahvatantsuga tegelen, et Et tudeng, veel ei ole alles keskkooliõpilane vanalinnas.
Et kuidas see festival, sellel vabatahtlikuna osalemine on muutnud sinu suhtumist kaasaegse kunsti ja kaasaegsetesse kunstnikesse?
Kriitilisemaks. Mulle ei meeldi, kui kunsti tehakse, tantsud, see on hea kunst, esitav kunst, performing arts, see mulle meeldib. Aga ma ei saa adu nendest kunstifriikidest, kes tulevad hotelli, kes vetsu ees piltide tegemine. Mul sellest väga adusam puudub. Üks tädi liftis 5 tundi passib seal, et ära hävitada see rusuv vaikus, mis on liftis ja inimestega vestelda. Et me käisime seal liftis ja siis ta ütles, teie eestlased? Ja, teie 2 eestlased? Kui tore 4 eestlast kõik ühes liftis koos. Ja siis, kui sa sellest kunstist aru ei saa, siis nemad ütlevad, sa ei ole mingi õige kunsti inimene, mina olen kunst ise ja väga kõrge enesehinnaguga inimesed ja ma ei tea, kas nad peaksid olema.